All right, and we are live. Welcome back to the AI Chef's Kitchen. Hello, Chef Kevin.
Hello, Chef David. Good to be
Good to
here as
see you.
always.
Let's see, where's my... Yay! The crowd's happy to see us.
Yeah, there's always a delay. You got to get a little faster so it seems
I know.
realistic. So there you go.
Oh, my Stream Deck, I need AI to help me to redesign my Stream Deck. I have folders within folders. I have to hit too many buttons to get where I want to go.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you always, you're a big fan of the Stream Deck and you do
Oh,
some
I
cool
love it.
things with it, right? So there you go.
I love it. A little too much with it sometimes. But let's get into our show. I'm really excited about the first story. Sometimes I get taken away by a headline, and I get all excited. I need a Chef Kevin. I was going to use some sort of food analogy to ground me back to reality, but I don't know. There's some sort of something here, something to get my base going in the stew. I don't know.
There you go. Yes.
Because I just get carried away with the headlines, and this is one of them. I'm excited about this. If this is what it looks like, um, our LLMs are going to learn better, and it's from MIT, and that's where all the smart people are. So I'm excited about this. I'm assuming it's real. And we were talking about before we started, one of the things we've been talking about for a while is that some of the LLMs do remember stuff. One of the struggles I have is that I'm on paid Gemini and free ChatGPT, but ChatGPT remembers stuff about me. I say, "Who am I?" And it says, "Yeah, you're David. Let's do video." Blah blah blah. And Gemini just announced today that it's going to start doing that, but it hasn't up till now. So they did have some sort of memory. They remembered some things about me, remembered my YouTube channel, they remembered Kevin. But this is something different. And I read the article. I don't understand quite the nuance of it, but I trust MIT, and I feel like the idea that it's actually going to be actively learning and like it says, taking notes like a student, um, is getting us where we want to go. Because we want to go is for these things to act more human. And when it says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to remember that," and I know it's not going to remember that, it reminds me that I'm talking to a bot. When I have to tell it the same thing 100 times. No, I don't. I don't have a Macintosh. Why are you telling me how to do this on a Macintosh? I have a Macintosh. Stop telling me that for the thousandth time. It feels like I'm talking to a bot. And if it actually learns like a human, this I think is an evolutionary thing in our goal to get LLMs where we want them to go. So what are your thoughts, Chef Kevin?
Yeah. So you shared this article with me just moments before we started, so I
It's
didn't
my bad.
I
That was totally
didn't
my bad.
absorb it at the speed of AI, but it's talking about having LLMs create their own synthetic data to help reinforce things, right? So um, I think and you bring up a good point. Like Copilot has had some memory. That's Microsoft Copilot. Gemini now has kind of different things. You could put in some context things, but this is the challenges around managing what you want it to remember, and then sometimes you might want it to forget certain things, and how do you manage that? And so I think what's happening in the whole LLM world is there's been this giant move towards scalability, more GPUs, more parameters, bigger models. And, now I think what's happening is there's a lot of interesting thing around synthetic data because now the models have absorbed all the data, the whole internet effectively. And now they're, how do you create more synthetic data to help refine, reinforcement learning? I think there's just some, we're back into algorithmic research as opposed to just bigger is better. And I think that, things like this um, are very positive because maybe we don't have to use up all the world's electricity and all the world's water because we'll just make models that learn how humans learn. And that's what I think the key thing here is that we as humans learn way faster than an LLM. Like presented with a new experience, we absorb things and we do a far better job of generalizing. Like if you think when, I don't know, you learn to drive or you learn a new concept, yeah, it takes you a little bit of time, but far less samples are required than these models that you give them, millions or hundreds of millions of samples. So I think that using techniques like this to learn how humans learn, there's still something that evolution has done pretty good in terms of building our brains. So I think this is an exciting article. And I'll read it in more detail after the show.
Well, I used the AI in my AI brain to skim it as you were skim it again. I did read it before here, but as you were talking, and I think you hit upon one really key thing as you were explaining it. Is right now it's kind of manual the way we have to deal with the memory of these LLMs. And that's
Right.
not a natural interaction. If I hired an intern, I wouldn't have to sit with the intern and say, let's go over what you remembered about me. Now, you could forget what kind of pizza I like, but you need to remember how I like my Word documents formatted. Um, it, 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 he or she would remember it like a human remembers and would learn like
Right.
a human learns. I wouldn't have to manage it. It's a weird thing to have to manage it. And this is basically, if I'm understanding, it's going to manage itself. It's going to learn
Right.
like a
Like it'll
human
know
learns.
you've got a Windows computer tomorrow. You won't have to explicitly say, hey, I don't have a Mac. So
Yeah,
there
we
you
won't have
go.
to go through a list. So let's go to our second story, which is an improvement to Nano Banana. We now have Nano Banana Pro. They could zoom in on this a little bit. Okay. And the reaction, everyone always says when the new AI stuff comes out, we're cooked, because if you can't tell the difference between real and AI, we are cooked. If when the political stuff starts coming out that's fake, that we can't tell the difference, it's like, oh, it's a video. I know the difference. We are cooked. But anyway, everyone's like, oh, okay, so this is the real picture. This is over there is the AI version of it. And it's like, no, that's old Nano Banana. And that's new Nano Banana. And I'm still fooled by old Nano Banana. I still look
Yeah,
at
they
the
both
old Nano
look
Banana
fantastic. Yeah.
and say, if you told me that she is a real person that really exists and he's a real person that really exists, I'd be like, okay. And I think it's gotten to the point that there's some people who can kind of tell if they look really closely, because it's been out for a few months. It hasn't been out that long.
Right.
Maybe by the way the glasses are blurred, and there's something about the softness, and this is what all AI pictures look like. So, but you look at this one, and it's like, oh, this is a picture on someone's iPhone. I mean, that is impossible, impossible to tell. Most things impossible. I can't tell. So the new version of Nano Banana, and I'm going to use it to redesign the studio. I had an issue with my instructions. It wasn't doing what I want to. Our storage studio is a little blurry. It's a little Nano Banana V1. We need to get it to be
Right.
Nano. So stay tuned. Come back for updates to our to the studio. But I'm I keep saying, when am I going to stop being blown away by the next weekly update? This isn't like every 6 months I get blown away. It's like every week. And I'm blown away again. Is it just me?
Oh, no, no. I think, yeah. And I laugh at people that say, oh, I can tell if it's written by AI. I can tell if this image is generated by AI, because maybe, to your point, maybe you can, um, until next week, right? Because the advances are
Thank you.
coming, so quickly. And, yeah, yeah. So no, no, I think I mean both I'm impressed by both of those pictures, but the one maybe, as you say, has that kind of soft portrait focus, and maybe that was indicative of AI because it was kind of trying to hide some of the details with that kind of portrait focus. But the crispness of the one on the right there
Let me
was
zoom in here.
fantastic. Yeah. But so let's go to
It's
yeah,
crazy.
let's go to my story, because they kind of are saying, hey, like AI is great, but in this was interesting to me because this kind of like I got three parts to this short story, like, which is, so Fortnite people, this is a very popular game, but it's a game, right? It's like it's pretend, but so there was, there was this release came out. This was a little bit, a little while ago, and so the fans started saying, I think that this character was generated by AI. I think it was a Yeti or a polar bear had 9 toes. And they're like, obviously a game is pretend. So nobody thought it was like a real whatever. But their point, and I think that this is a valid point, is they said, hey, Fortnite makes a lot of money. They should
Mm-hmm.
hire real
Mm-hmm.
artists and pay real artists. but here's the thing, like when we go like to the next thing, so now the fans are going through and saying, "Hey, I think this was AI." So now artists that actually drew the characters are now having to defend,
Oh, they're saying, "Oh, I drew that. That's my nine-toed
yeah, a
polar
nine-toed
bear."
character in a hammock. And this artist said, "Well, yeah, I took some. There was some background elements that were clocks." And he said, "Yeah, I did. I was looking for some clocks to put in the background, and
That's
maybe the
okay.
was generated by AI because somebody noticed. You know how AI sometimes gets the numbers wrong on
Yeah.
the on something. So now the artist is kind of having to respond and say, no, no, I
Oh,
really drew that and show their work. So this is kind of like, yeah, there's a backlash, but now a real artist is having to justify. And then, kind of the last thing is now the CEO of Fortnite, so Steam, which is a
yes.
streaming game platform, they've said, hey, if you use AI, you have to label your game as using AI. And the CEO of Fortnite goes, wait a second, guys, like every game
Everyone's using
is
AI.
AI. Now, the
We're using
counter
AI to read our
argument,
emails. How could he not use AI as a game development company? Of
well,
course they're using
and
AI.
yeah, and AI does
Oh,
the
AI
strategy
generated
for the
assets. What does that
non-player
mean?
characters. Yeah, well, so, but
If you use
the
AI to help
the
with the color shading, you all of a sudden you have to label it.
well, in the music or some of the voiceovers or whatever. But so, the counter argument to this, and I thought the person said, "Hey, if you go to the grocery store, what are we telling manufacturers they don't have to tell us what ingredients are in something?" So maybe, Steam says you got to label everything that uses AI, and just, quite frankly, maybe everything gets labeled with that, right? Because
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
one thing
say,
to say ingredients, another thing to say everything in the grocery store has to be labeled with the big sticker that says food. If
right.
everything has a sticker on it, then what's the point of the sticker?
Yeah, so this was interesting. This is the Nano Banana Pro to the extreme. People are using it, and then there's backlash, and I certainly understand the paying artists, right? That I think is an important issue. Like if AI takes all the jobs, then nobody has anything to do. So there was that, and then anything more to say on this kind of Fortnite thing, and then I'll go into
Yeah,
kind of my
just a quick thought, just to kind of cover our own hypocrisy here, because I was just talking about how wonderful it's going to be to use Nano Banana to upgrade our studio here,
right.
and then I immediately flipped and said Fortnite should be paying artists to do their art. So why should Fortnite pay their artists, and why shouldn't I pay? Why should I pay artists? And it's because I
Right.
can't afford artists. I'm not Fortnite. This is a billion zillion dollar company, and it's different. Our little studio is just for our viewers right here, just for you all. The art in Fortnite, it's part of the culture. The game is you jump in and you run around in this world and you see your little character running around shooting people, but the skins, the costumes that your characters wear, you
Right.
spend real money on them, and it's part of your. It's a big deal. And when they come out with a new costume, when they get licensing, you see you could be Spider-Man in the game, and you run around with this
Yes.
Spider-Man costume. It's a huge, huge deal. And when there's a custom artwork becomes a new costume in the game, it's a big deal for that artist. So this isn't just yeah, we need a studio. Let's make a studio. That's not what this show isn't about the art. That game is about the art. As much as it is about playing, it's about the art in the game. So for an art-centric game to start using AI art, that's a that's a big problem. For regular people like us to use AI art for stuff, that's not a problem. It's still we're still it's a gray line there, but I think we're okay with that. Are you
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Well, here, right now, Chef David, I will commit when we get $1 billion, our first $1 billion in sponsorship, we will hire an artist to redo the AI kitchen here. So there you go. You heard it here first.
And I'm in on that too. So it's 100% agreement.
There you go. Okay, so and this is also kind of another story which was interesting. And, this is kind of Nano Banana Pro. So this Velvet
We're
Sundown,
cooked.
this has been for a while. This band had 1 million streaming subscribers on Spotify. So they were making real money. I mean, Spotify gets beat up because they don't pay artists
Yeah.
enough. And I think but this band was, getting paid by Spotify. But it turned out that the music and the band and all the pictures of the people, this was all AI generated. And there was, okay, what is about that? But what I found fascinating, the twist to the story is, so a Canadian, so this is, hey, I'm in Toronto, so there you go. So a Canadian, I think he made up a pseudonym called like Andrew Freelon. He then came out using AI to say that he was the publicist of the band. And no, these are real people. And then he used AI to create a bunch of pictures showing these real people that aren't real. And that's actually what actually blew up the thing. And he was doing it as a bit of, well, he said he was doing it as a bit of a social engineering experiment to really illustrate how, the press assumed that he was really their publicist. And they started publishing all these stories about,
Ugh.
like, hey, these are real things. So it was like a double twist, both people using AI, and you see on CBC,
I don't know what to
a
believe.
reputable, well, and CBC is a reputable kind of journalistic, that's Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So
And they got
all the
fooled.
images they always show AI generated prominently. So there is no problem. It's not the Nano Banana Pro, which one is real. They always label it. But anyway, I thought that this was interesting. It was a double twist, both of which were fake. Um, and but that's to your point, whether it's political videos or, videos. Supposedly you can replicate somebody's voice now. It takes 3 seconds of audio for AI to do, a replication of your voice that pretty much nobody can tell that it's not you saying things that you've never said. So there you go. That's the
It's
good and the bad of Nano Banana Pro and all this AI generated content.
Yeah, when it comes to musicians, I'm sorry, but we're cooked. I mean, I don't regret the time I spent learning guitar. It's fun for me, but there's no point in it. I don't. it's just the music. What really got me is, I watch a lot of music streamers on YouTube, a lot of
Right.
guitarists. There's one, Rick Beato. He's really good. He does these breakdowns of songs, and he understands all the music theory that I don't. He does like a 10 minute or 20 minute breakdown of like uh, um, all these songs from my childhood. The Cars, Just What I Needed, and explains why it works and what melodies and keys and the bridge and everything. And he has a book, the Beato book, so he understands all this stuff on music theory better than anyone. And he's an older guy. He's so he's a purist and being in the studio. So I thought he's going to listen to this AI music and be like, this isn't music. And as soon as, what was it,
Yeah,
Sona?
yeah. SONU. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as that came out, so it's already, as we were saying, things get better every week. And this is like 6 months ago already. He had it made a song and he analyzed it and he's like, it's good. This is a great song.
Well,
It
and and
works.
and that was the point.
I'm
So,
like, oh, so
his
it's
music
not like,
doesn't matter, right? Like,
with the art, people still say no. I still like human art better. And even hardcore music purists are saying that AI music is legitimate music. It's good.
right. And so, but what do you think, Chef David? So let's say you go to a restaurant. I always like sitting at the chef's table because it's kind of opens on, kind of the kitchen and you get to see how they make it and they explain it. And that experience, it typically you might pay a little more to sit at the chef's table, but you see how all the stuff's being prepared. What do you think? I mean, I think that maybe, live music, like going to a live concert, or even when you go to a musical, like I like musicals because one of the things I love is the orchestra is playing live and they're in the
Oh,
orchestra pit and it's amazing that they are recreating. It's not like they've just recorded the music. And to me, that heightens the experience. So I
sure.
think that, maybe people will
There'll
be
still be a thing
increasingly
for
paying a
live music,
premium.
But what percentage of music that we listen to is live?
No, no, I know, but maybe live things and I
Yeah,
don't know,
they'll still
live
be the clubs in New Orleans. I'm gonna, I used to go every. I was gonna say every weekend, but it was actually every night. When I lived in New Orleans, I'd walk around in the French Quarter, and I would walk into the clubs, and yeah, you see the guys and girls just right there jamming, and I
right.
wouldn't want to walk in and see a robot. Well, maybe I would once in a while, just 'cause it'd be fun to see a robot band. But yeah, there, there's a reason that there were the clubs with the live musicians and not just the jukebox.
Right.
But the jukebox was filled with music made by people, and the jukebox of the future is not going to be made by music filled with people. Why would it be? If the music created by robots is just as good, we're still going to have a Taylor Swift, because people are going to love her and want to hear whatever she does. But making the new jingle for the cereal, for your Lucky Charms, rocket. No more jobs there for musicians.
So maybe this all cycles back to, that CEO of Fortnite said it's stupid to label things created by AI, but maybe that is the secret so that people don't feel they're fooled. Maybe this Velvet Sundown, maybe if it had been labeled right from the start that it was AI generated, um, maybe there wouldn't have been pushback. If Fortnite did use AI to generate content, maybe the artists wouldn't have to prove themselves. So maybe it is about not fooling people. It's fine to have AI generated music. You can enjoy that, but don't pretend it's human generated if it's AI generated. I don't know. That's
Yeah,
that's where that's where I'm gonna end up for
yeah.
for
It
this
depends.
moment.
It depends on the context. Like the final thought. If you're in an elevator and you hear the elevator music, you're not going to be offended if it's AI and no one tells you it's AI. But if you go to a concert and you think you're seeing a person and it turns out that it's a hologram and they're lying to you and it's all AI, you don't. No one wants to be lied to.
Right, that's the thing. So
Yeah.
labeling so that you don't mislead people, and there maybe
It's
everybody
it's
should.
sad though. Music used to be the most human of all things, the most human of all things, and now it's even I wish when I listen to AI music I'd be like, oh, that's terrible, but I'm like, ooh, that's good,
Well, but
and
this
it
is the
just
broader
bothers me.
philosophical thing for another show, which is what is going to be left for humans to do, because music, as you said, that was one, art was one that was a humanistic endeavor. But when AI can create art that rivals or surpasses certainly my capabilities, because I am not artistic, um, what's left for humans? But that'll be the topic for an
Right.
upcoming AI chef
I've
show.
used this line before, but I really thought that in almost 2026, a robot would be doing my dishes and I'd be playing guitar. And it's the opposite. I'm doing the dishes and the robots are playing the guitar.
So the AI is doing all the fun stuff. Uh-oh.
Right? It is.
Well, there you go. I think we'll leave
Is
it
that
on
is that
that
it? Is that our last story
slightly
for the?
pessimistic note. So,
Sorry,
but yeah,
everyone.
so thank you. Hopefully, all of you have something fun planned, whether it involves AI or not. And thanks you for listening. Please like and subscribe.
I'll try to come up with some more fun stories, more positive stories for next Tuesday. Have
Sounds
a
good.
great week, everyone.